Hello, I'm Bram Desmet with Flanders Scientific, and in this video we're going to take a high-level overview look at the IP Remote utility, otherwise known as the IPRU for Flanders Scientific devices. The IPRU is designed as a consolidated application for controlling both Flanders Scientific monitors and Box.io color management devices. I'm going to start by just opening the application, and as we do so you'll notice that we have some tabs open here on the left. So we have a new monitor tab and a new Box.io tab. We're going to start by connecting to a monitor. I have a DM240 here in the room. I can name this anything I like. I'm actually going to name this DM240 since that's what we're connecting to. And the next step is to type in the IP address of the monitor. Now I happen to know this one is 10.1.10.27, so I'll go ahead and connect. But I'll also show you where you can find that on the monitor. If you were to manually scroll to the system menu of any Flanders Scientific monitor, you'll see the IP address listed there. Now, FSI monitors can all obtain an IP address over DHCP, but some monitors can also be manually set with a manual IP. To do that, you would turn DHCP off, and then you'll have access to the IP address to manually set that to whatever you like. It's important that if you set a static IP on something like a DM series monitor, that you remember that that IP address will not become active until you power cycle the monitor. But in this case, again, we've received it over DHCP. We know it's 10.1.10.27, so we type that in here, hit connect, and you'll see our DM240 is active here. It shows that we're connected. And what's nice about this is depending on the monitor that we are connected to, this window here will auto-populate with appropriate controls for that monitor. So if we were connected to an AM series monitor, you'd have all the inputs that are available on an AM available here. If you have a BM210 instead of a DM240, it'll show 5 function keys instead of 6. So all this auto-populates just based on what the connected monitor can actually do. Now, with just about any monitor, you'll get basic menu controls, so we'll be able to do things like scroll the menu remotely. We can change inputs, so I can switch to SDI2 on the monitor or SDI1 on the monitor. And I can activate things like function keys, all from the IPRU. I'll also have access to the rotary knob controls, so that's what these buttons here do. So if I want to turn up the volume on the monitor, for example, I could do that. And then because this is a DM series monitor, I also have access to some more advanced features like the scope stream waveform, which when I launch this and I hit start, you'll see that I get real-time waveform sent back from the monitor to the computer over that Ethernet connection. And this will update in real time. So if I play some video back, you'll see that as that video updates, you also get an update to the scope here. Go back to our image here. I can change the trace color of this waveform. I can move it anywhere I like on screen. I can resize the window to whatever I need it to be. And then within any window for waveform, I can also, if I like, actually scroll in to zoom in on the unit, or I can scroll out depending on what my preference there is for my view. I also have a vector scope window available to me. So again, same thing, hit start there. You see my vector scope. I can change the trace color there if I like to white. And then you have a 2x and 4x zoom available to you as well. What's great about this scope stream functionality is that it's a very low load operation for the computer because we're not processing full video. Rather, what's being sent back is just a relatively low resolution and low bandwidth waveform and vector scope trace that the computer then draws out over these graticules. So I'll go ahead and close those windows. And mention that one other nice thing about this is that we have a whole host of shortcuts for the application as well. So you have shortcuts for the application in general, allowing you to switch between devices. And then we have monitor specific and Box.io specific shortcuts. So for the monitor specific shortcuts, for example, if I want to activate the F1 function key on the monitor, as long as I have the IPRU open and active on my computer, I can just press 1 on my computer's keyboard and that will activate the F1 function key for me as well. These can also be mapped to a Stream Deck device, and we in fact have Stream Deck profiles you can download from our website, pre-configured with these shortcuts and icons to allow you to quickly get up and running with a Stream Deck to control either your monitors or your Box.io devices. So now we'll show how to connect to a Box.io device. When you first get a Box.io device, on the back of the Box.io device, it will show a network name. So what you'll do is you'll actually, via your computer's Wi-Fi connection, connect to the Box.io. The SSID, again, will be shown on the Box.io device, so you just select that one. The password is also on the back of the Box.io device, so you type in that password. And the default IP address is also listed. So you would type in that default IP address, which would be, for example, in this case, most of them are 192.168.1.244. But whatever it is, you would type that in. And once you're connected to that device, you can actually go to the Settings tab here. And if you want to set a static IP, for example, if you want to connect multiple Box.io devices, or you want to connect a Box.io device to your Ethernet network, you can type in the IP address here. So I'm on a 10 base here at the office. I'm going to change this to 10.1.10.77. Type in a gateway IP real quick. And then I'm going to hit Set IP. So now it's actually changed the IP address of the Box.io to 10.1.10.77. So if I go back here and disconnect, I'm going to give this a new name just to better identify it. So Box.io Office. And then again, I gave this 10.1.10.77. So I'll type that in, hit connect. And now I see that I'm connected. The address is 10.1.10.77. And now I have full control of my Box.io device. I can change it from single channel to dual channel operation. I can switch into test pattern generator mode. I can switch which inputs are assigned to be active. So for example, in single channel, I could look at SDI1 or SDI2. In dual channel, I could route SDI1 to channel 1 or 2. Same thing for SDI2 into channel 1 or channel 2. And then I have all my LUT controls here. So I could toggle LUTs on or off. In fact, I'll show how that works. On my DM240 here, switch back to that real quick. I'm going to switch to SDI2. So SDI2 is actually getting the output from my Box.io. Switch back to the Box.io, and I'll toggle the 3D LUT on. I had previously saved a monochrome LUT in here, but the way you would do that is hit Save LUT. It'll open a prompt that will allow you to select the LUT you want to load. And then you can use that same ID position and hit recall. Now there's 16 ID positions, so 16 memories per slot here essentially. So you can save and recall up to 16 different positions and then toggle that on and off with the actual slider here. I can also delete a LUT from any position by selecting the ID position and hitting delete. I have front 1D LUT control, 3D LUT control, back 1D LUT control. And then over here, you'll see another feature called frame callback. So frame callback actually allows us to take a frame that we saved in our own raw format and recall it for later use. So you might do this for custom test patch or test pattern that you've created, or perhaps you saved a reference still from earlier, you want to play it back. You can toggle this on and you can see that reference still appear on screen. You also have range selections here, so you can change the range selection that Box.io is operating in. And then there's an input format here as well. You can typically leave this in automatic. Box.io will detect payload ID if it's present in the signal, but sometimes payload ID is missing or incorrect. And so we have manual overrides that allow you to select what the signal really is, and Box.io will respond appropriately. As with the DM series monitors, you have the waveform and vector scope functions. They work exactly the same way as with that DM series monitor. And then both DM series monitors and Box.io devices can also do this capture frame function. So capture frame is really neat. It allows you to grab reference stills by simply clicking within this window. And a reference still is pulled from my incoming video to the monitor. Now, if this was a source with timecode, so we'll play something that has timecode on it, and I capture that, you'll actually see the reference time code as well. So a real great reference for that. I'm going to turn the 3D lookup table on and bring this back in just to show that I can also get a reference still with the LUT applied. So if I want to save that to my computer, I could, or if I want to see it without my active LUT, I could do this as well. You can save this in JPEG, BMP, or in our own RAW format. And you can choose a location to save that on your computer for reference or recall later. Now, of course, I can connect additional devices. There's really no limit to the number of devices I can connect to. They just all have to be on the same network. And I'll go ahead and do that because I do have another device in the room. So if you go to Manage here, you can either add a Box I/O tab or a Monitor tab. I'm adding a monitor, so I'll select that. This happens to be an XM311K that I have in the room with me, so I'll type in XM311K. And I can see from the system menu on that monitor that it is 10.1.10.22. So I'll type that in, I'll hit connect. And here I'll see a set of controls that again are appropriate for the XM311K. So I have my input controls, menu controls, I have the ability to activate functions, I have the rotary knob controls. And then with XM series monitors, you can actually send lookup tables over a network connection. And that's what we're actually seeing here is the ability to load calibration LUTs to different memory positions from the IPRU. I can expand this and see that I have more memory positions available to me, including look LUT positions on that monitor that I can send LUTs to over that network connection. Last thing to take a look at is that we do have the option to operate the IPRU in either a light or a dark theme. I prefer the dark theme personally, but if you wanted to, you could switch the theme of this to light. So you have the ability to view this different ways depending on what your preference is. We do have the application available for Mac, PC, and there's also an iOS version available. All of those are available as free downloads. And if you have any questions about using any of these devices with the IPRU, just feel free to reach out to our support department at support@flandersscientific.com. We hope this has been informative, but again, feel free to contact us if you do have any questions.